All right, everyone, this is Stammering, and welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Daniele Rossi, who is the creator of Stuttering is Cool. And I'm going to get straight back into the discussion. However, don't forget to leave a like and leave a comment if you have any questions or would like to see me talk to anyone else, and hit that subscribe button so you know when I next upload. And let's get into it. So coming into the podcast now, which you said was the first thing you started. And after looking for stuttering podcasts for ages and being oh, I found one, oh, it's gone, oh, I found one, oh, it's gone. At what point were you okay, hang on, I just need to make one for myself?
Oh, as soon as I found the second one, because when I learned about the concept of support groups, I thought I want to see if there are any groups here where I live in Toronto, because they were talking about the United States. And so it's funny how I used a worldwide global medium to find people in my area. And it was from there that things started. I guess I became more proactive in getting involved. And, I found out about the CSA, the Canadian Stuttering Association, and then slowly getting more and more active and participatory in the global stuttering community. I was about to say association, but yeah. And that's when it was that, and I wanted to also spread the word. That's that stuttering isn't your fault, this and this. But I found that when I heard other people stutter on the podcasts, it made me feel less alone. And as I was recording myself and then hearing myself back, it actually helped me catch myself in terms of, I personally tend to exaggerate my secondaries. So, and it helped me maintain my eye contact better. So I wanted to do that. So that was what the original premise of my podcast, Stuttering is Cool, was about. It was to encourage others to also send in their recordings, to have them hear themselves, all these people from around the world. I didn't even know if it was going to happen because I thought for sure it's not going to last 4 episodes. Prior to that, 2016, I had a podcast about creativity, about my drawing. It went nowhere, but I also edited out my stuttering. I would re-record. I would waste weekends doing that. I thought to myself, pardon me, if I ever become famous and I get interviewed on the radio, I'm I can't have them edit myself or do retake after retake. I said something has to change. And then a year later, I discovered, the podcast was Stutter Talk. That whole concept of you have friends that stutter, it just blew my mind. Wow, friends that understand what you're going through. That's why I delved right in full tilt into the whole support group thing, the whole support thing. Yeah. Never looked back.
Yay! And I'm glad. I wanted to ask as well, about the name, Stuttering is Cool. At the time, when you launched the podcast, I imagine that was quite a controversial title for a stuttering podcast. What did people think of it when you first launched?
Oh boy, the nasty emails I got. Although it was more positive than I got more positive feedback than nasty. But yeah, the Stuttering is Cool. The name actually it didn't actually come from a Facebook group, but at the time, Facebook had just opened up to the rest of the world. And there are only 5. I think there are only 5 groups about stuttering, but they were negative. There was one called I Hate Stuttering. And by that time when I logged in, I'm but I feel silly being part of a group called I Hate Stuttering when I don't hate my stuttering. It was something doesn't jive. And then someone else started a group called Stuttering is Cool. I thought, okay, this is cool. No pun intended. And so shortly thereafter, I happened to come up with the idea, maybe I should create a podcast about stuttering. And I was having trouble finding a name, and the only name I could think of that was very descriptive was Stuttering is Cool. Another message that I wanted to promote on my podcast is that once you find your support group, your support system, your friends who stutter, you make friends with people who stutter, whether they're in person in your or rather in your immediate geographical area or even online, suddenly stuttering starts to feel this kind of cool thing that I have, because you're no longer just by yourself thinking, oh crap, I couldn't even say my name. They're probably laughing on me. They're probably, doing this, I can't do anything, versus hanging out with others that experience the same thing. They're probably even making jokes about it with you, finding the humor in it and say, you know what, you did a great job. Try again next time, this and this. Even at times when I would say, I would report back to my friends, saying, oh yeah, and I stuttered purposely, and it was cool. They didn't even flinch. They didn't even do anything. They just gave me my order, and that was it. I felt so great. Or even seeing others who were coverts, and they would say, there is no way I would ever make a phone call. I don't know why you're so positive about stuttering. And then later you would see, because of their exposure to the people who stutter that are positive towards their stuttering, suddenly you would see on a tweet show up saying, holy mackerel, I just made my first phone call and it felt great. Yeah. I stuttered, but I didn't care, this and this and this. So that's where that name comes from. But fortunately, the negativity had died down. And I'm not sure what that is, if it's just because the proliferation of a lot more positivity towards stuttering over the year. I mean, this year alone, there's been an explosion of podcasts about stuttering, and there's even more that came out just last week. I think there are 2 more, and it's really fantastic.
I think definitely over the last 5 years in particular, I think there's been such a rise of the acceptance and the kind of stuttering pride, and people owning their stutters, and a lot more, which I think is great. And yeah, that's part of the reason I kind of started this a YouTube channel as well, because I would go onto YouTube and I'd see so much stuff about kind of how to fix your stammer, how to kind of get rid of your stammer, how I overcame my stammer, which isn't always about kind of getting rid of it, but the word overcome is always a bit controversial. And I just wanted to kind of add to the voices of people being like, well, I have a stutter, but it's fine. I'm living with the look at what I've done. All of this stuff is happening, and I wanted to add to those voices, and I think that's really, really important. And
very.
And for me, I love podcasts, but I think because I'm quite an expressive person, facially, so I thought video would be a better way for me to do it than a podcast. Although I'm fully open for joining any podcast to offer, as you know, because I've snuck onto a few of yours.
And the Scottish Stammering Network has a podcast. Is that still on? Or is that on hiatus because of the whole pandemic? Sorry.
Yeah. Like the Scottish Stammering Network has a podcast that's called and On That Note. Which is when they look at stuff that's happened in the news, and then they use it as an excuse to bounce into something about stuttering, which is a really, really cool idea. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, it has gone on hiatus because it's something which they prefer to record together, in the same room. Because they find it easier to bounce off each other, if they're in the room together.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, in the next year, it'll come back once they're able to. Get together and record again, because that's an excellent podcast. I really enjoyed that one because it's something a bit fun. And
actually, I snuck onto that podcast too.
You did. I remember them saying you were coming onto it.
Totally infiltrated.
I've never been on that one because they started it after I moved to London. So,
I thought you were involved. I thought you.
No, I've never been on it. Because because I don't live there. Yeah. If I'm ever home, like while they're recording, or like if I ever move back to Scotland, then I'll need to be like, hi, let me on.
I'm back.
I like to talk. And that is it for this part of my conversation with Daniele Rossi, the creator of Stuttering is Cool. I'm going to leave the links to all of our kind of socials down in the comments. Please get in touch with either of us if you want to. And there will be one more part coming out, so please make sure you've hit the subscribe button, so you know when that is. And also, please leave a like and leave a comment if there's anything you'd like to comment on, because it really helps with my engagement. And I would love to hear from you. And I will see you in the next one.